Iran's attack on Israel. Biden is in the pickle. We want to kind of talk about two different things. Biden's reaction to it, and what's going on with regard to Iran and Israel. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
Iran tonight launched a swarm of drones at Israel as air defenses lit up the sky and exploded over Jerusalem.
For the last several minutes, we've seen these flares streaking all across the skies over Jerusalem. And now, for the first time, we're hearing the air raid sirens.
It's a developing attack that is unfolding in slow motion. The drones take several hours to travel roughly 700 miles from Iran to Israel, giving the Israeli military and its allies time to divert, jam, or shoot them down.
We are closely monitoring Iranian killer drones that are en route to Israel sent by Iran. This is a severe and dangerous escalation. Our defensive and offensive capabilities are at the highest level of readiness ahead of this large-scale attack from Iran.
Iran says the attack is revenge for an airstrike on Iran's embassy compound in Damascus nearly 2 weeks ago that killed 7 members of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, including 2 top commanders.
Now, I'm largely believing that we got enough on our hands and fighting a whole bunch of proxy wars in the first place, right? Jonathan Anderson, I don't know if I've seen your super chat. Let me see. I'll check and see if I miss a super chat in a second, Jonathan Anderson. But I believe that we fighting enough proxy wars as it is. But correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I did read that super chat, Jonathan Anderson. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. Says LA Chief told y'all last year that they can't protect. Yep, I had read it, big dog. Thank you, my friend. But now correct me if I'm wrong, and I might be a little bit off about this, but you don't attack anybody's embassy. Isn't that against the rules of engagement? Or isn't that like a hidden rule of engagement? Is that you're never, ever supposed to attack somebody else's embassy? Somebody fill me in. You never attack somebody's embassy. Now, I could be wrong. You know, my international understanding of war and the rules of war and the rules of engagement with regard to war may be a little bit dusty. I am a C student, but I am curious. Isn't that off limits? You never, under any circumstances, attack somebody else's embassy.
Though Israel has not acknowledged involvement, it is widely believed responsible. Iran's supreme leader said he considered the attack on the embassy compound to be an attack on Iranian soil. To stop the drones and clear a path around them, Israel tonight closed its airspace, canceled flights for the next 2 days, and disabled some GPS location services. Israel is also canceling schools and all gatherings of more than 1,000 people through Monday. Hours before the launch was detected, President Biden today cut short a vacation weekend in Delaware, returning.
Wait. Biden was on vacation? I ain't even took a PTO day this year. And I'm not running. I'm not even running the country. Wait. What's in Delaware? Where's Camp David? Let me see. Biden was on vacation? Okay, so Camp David is in Maryland. I'm just trying to figure out what's in Delaware. I ain't even took a PTO day. I ain't took one PTO day this year. And he was on vacation. He said, all right, y'all, we got to get back on the road. What the heck is... I thought the country was in shambles. The country ain't in shambles?
To the White House to consult with his national security team. Yesterday, the president said an Iranian attack could come quickly.
My expectation sooner than later.
President, what is your message to Iran in this moment?
Don't.
But Iran isn't listening. Earlier today, Iranian forces abseiled down, boarded, and captured an Israeli-linked cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz.
And Richard, there are reports that some of these drones have already been shot down.
So the Israeli Air Force has already deployed. Its goal is to shoot down drones before they enter Israeli airspace. But Israel is not working alone. The Israeli media report that British and American aircraft have already begun shooting down some of the drones over Iraq and Syria.
So according to the reports that I was reading over the weekend, they saying that 99%, over 99% of everything, all missiles, all drones were either shot down or intercepted, and that nothing happened. But Israel is absolutely, I guess, wanting to respond and go back or whatever like that. So this was Biden's response to what was happening, and whether or not they would support the United States of America would support a retaliatory attack on Iran.
How imminent do you think an attack on Israel is from Iran, Mr. President?
I don't want to get into secure information, but my expectation sooner than later.
What is your message to Iran in this moment?
Don't.
A Fox News alert, Joe Biden yesterday with that one-word warning to Iran, as the U.S. expects the Iranian regime to strike multiple targets inside Israel in the coming days. They're forecasting that.
So that's his message: is any retaliatory attack, don't do it. Okay? Don't do it. Meanwhile, now, that's a general idea for a lot of you guys that are distracted by a lot of the things that's happening out here in these streets. And you may not necessarily be familiar with what's happening between Iran and Israel, so on and so forth, right? But here's the bigger thing. Here's the biggest thing right here. And I want to share this with you guys, because I was actually reading and studying this a lot more extensively. And I was reading the whole articles. I think that the thing that I studied the most this weekend wasn't Drake versus Rick Ross versus all of the Avengers, wasn't Metro Boomin, wasn't Future, although that Future album did drop. The thing that I was very interested in, and I was doing a contrast and comparison, is what's happening over in Sudan. Are y'all familiar with what's happening over in Sudan? And the civil war and the conflict that's been happening for well over a year in Sudan, and that over 10,000 people are projected to die a day from starvation and malnutrition, and kids are dying every single day, and millions are going hungry. And the hunger crisis and the civil war crisis that's happening over in Sudan, it's not just over in Haiti, it's over in Sudan. Sudan is facing one of the biggest civil war and hunger crisis ever. So everybody, the whole world, think about this for a minute. The whole world is focused on Israel and Iran. Nobody is talking about Sudan. Yeah, y'all didn't expect for this to turn, did y'all? Y'all thought that this was going to be a completely different. Y'all thought that we was only going to be talking about Israel and Bishop Harrow and Iran and the drone strikes and stuff. Nobody is talking about. I haven't seen one content creator, not one. And maybe my sphere is a little bit short. I don't see no Blackity Blacks. I don't see Umar Johnson. I don't see nobody. None of these Hotep leaders, none of the ones that got the fringes. Nobody is talking about Sudan. Nobody. At all. I wonder why. I'm going to just show this really quickly, just so we can make sure that y'all keep it on your radar. And it's a lot of things that I need to be talking about from an international perspective, but I only do this show for 2 hours a day. I only do the show for 2 hours. I know people think that I'll be doing it online all day. Nope, I'm only on here for 2 hours a day. And then we got to do the show later on tonight, all right? And I'm on the clock for work right now too. Nobody is talking about Sudan.
Sudan's conflict described as the war the world forgot. Civilians caught up in the country's civil war have shared graphic accounts to the BBC of rape, ethnic violence and street executions.
Shout out to Psychedelic Sense. I appreciate you on Cash App.
We'll shortly show you some first-hand testimonies. But before that, top United Nations officials met today, saying the war has plunged the country into one of the worst humanitarian nightmares in recent history. The UN Special Rapporteur spoke to the BBC earlier and gave us this assessment.
That it is the largest as well as the fastest displacement crisis in the world today. The needs are staggering and they continue to rise. And all the positive indicators, food security, access to healthcare, reproductive health, we see these rapidly declining. And what we see are negative indicators, malnutrition, child protection issues, access to health, and rising food insecurity. These negative indicators on the rise.
Since April last year, Sudan's been torn apart by fighting between these two men. One heads up the country's military, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the other is his former ally, General Mohammed Hamdan Daglo. He leads a paramilitary group, as we mentioned before. It's called the Rapid Support Forces, or the RSF, and together they took power in 2019. But the power-sharing agreement that's resulted has now broken down, and it's led to fierce fighting.
Look at this foolishness.
Now, within Sudan lies another humanitarian crisis in the western region of Darfur, where the RSF is accused of targeting and killing non-Arabs, and there have been reports of hundreds of deaths. The RSF have repeatedly denied any involvement in the violence in the region, and they've called for an independent international investigation. The UN says that with 8.1 million people forcibly displaced and tens of thousands killed, this could trigger the world's largest hunger crisis. Well, the BBC has uncovered harrowing evidence of the violence experienced by women in that ongoing conflict in Sudan. The BBC's Mercy Juma reports from the Chad-Sudan border in Adre, and there's a warning that some viewers may find details in this report distressing.
Yesterday, 19-year-old Amina found out that she is pregnant. Within minutes, she will begin an abortion, desperately hoping that her family never knows.
It happened in Sudan. I'm not married and I was a virgin, except for the incident that happened.
This young woman, whose name we have changed, was trying to flee fighting in her hometown when she was captured, held for a day, and repeatedly raped.
I didn't tell anyone, and I don't think anyone knows.
The UN says the sexual violence experienced by women like Amina is a defining characteristic of the conflict in Sudan and has been used as a weapon of war. Amina is one of more than 600,000 people who have fled Sudan for camps like this one in neighboring Chad. She was helped by the international charity Médecins Sans Frontières. But other voluntary groups have also sprung up to support the large number of women who have been affected by either physical violence or sexual attacks.
So women over in Sudan are fleeing violence. They have a crisis on their hand in a civil war that's been happening since the beginning of time, but more recently, since one of his cabinet members traded on him in 2019. And women these are virgins and stuff like that, and they flee, and then they get captured, and then they get raped. And so you got a humanitarian crisis, a hunger crisis where up to 10,000 people a day could be dying. Women are getting raped, civil war, country is completely plunged into chaos, and we continue to be distracted by things that's not even meaningful. Y'all are very, very privileged. I'll say this. Every day, I am very much thankful of where it is that I live, where I was born, where I was raised, and I try to add value into this world and leave this earth in a better space than it ever had been had I not been born. And we are out here making worse decisions, being distracted, self-inflicted wounds, voluntary ignorance, not thankful for being here, not making the most out of our opportunities. And it's people every day that's being plunged into chaos, and they didn't ask for it. So I'm not telling y'all to take a position on one way or another. I'm just trying to make sure that y'all stay informed every once in a while, and share some information that's beyond what we usually go by, and then hopefully add some more value into your lives every single day. All right.